Gabon, officially the Gabonese Republic, is a country on the west coast of Central Africa. Located on the equator, Gabon is bordered by Equatorial Guinea to the northwest, Cameroon to the north, the Republic of the Congo on the east and south, and the Gulf of Guinea to the west. It has an area of nearly and its population is estimated at million people. Its capital and largest city is Libreville. Since its independence from France in 1960, the sovereign state of Gabon has had 3 presidents. In the early 1990s, Gabon introduced a multi-party system and a new democratic constitution that allowed for a more transparent electoral process and reformed many governmental institutions. Abundant petroleum and foreign private investment have helped make Gabon one of the most prosperous countries in sub-Saharan Africa, with the 7th highest HDI and the 4th highest GDP per capita (PPP) after Mauritius, Equatorial Guinea and Seychelles in the region. GDP grew by more than 6% per year from 2010 to 2012. However, because of inequality in income distribution, a significant proportion of the population remains poor.
Etymology.
Gabon's name originates from Gabão, Portuguese for cloak, and capitalized for the country, which is roughly the shape of the estuary of the Como River by Libreville.
History.
The earliest inhabitants of the area were Pygmy peoples. They were largely replaced and absorbed by Bantu tribes as they migrated. In the 15th century, the first Europeans arrived. By the 18th century, a Maeni-speaking kingdom known as Ongu formed in Gabon. On February 10, 1722, Bartholomew Roberts, a Welsh pirate known as Black Bart, died at sea off Cape Lopez. He raided ships off the Americas and West Africa from 1719 to 1722. French explorer Pierre Sauvignon de Bratza led his first mission to the Gabon-Congo area in 1875. He founded the town of Franceville, and was later colonial governor. Several Bantu groups lived in the area that is now Gabon when France officially occupied it in 1885. In 1910, Gabon became one of the 4 territories of French Equatorial Africa, a federation that survived until 1959. In World War II, the Allies invaded Gabon in order to overthrow the pro-Vichy France colonial administration. The territories of French Equatorial Africa became independent on August 17, 1960. The first president of Gabon, elected in 1961, was Liomba, with Omar Bongo Ondimba as his vice president. After Mba's accession to power, the press was suppressed, political demonstrations banned, freedom of expression curtailed, other political parties gradually excluded from power, and the constitution changed along French lines to vest power in the presidency, a post that Mba assumed himself. However, when Mba dissolved the National Assembly in January 1964 to institute one-party rule, an army coup sought to oust him from power and restore parliamentary democracy. French paratroopers flew in within 24 hours to restore Mba to power. After a few days of fighting, the coup ended and the opposition was imprisoned. Despite widespread protests and riots, French soldiers still remain in the Camp de Gaulle on the outskirts of Gabon's capital to this day. When Mba died in 1967, Bongo replaced him as president. In March 1968, Bongo declared Gabon a one-party state by dissolving the BDG and establishing a new party, the Parti Démocratique Gabonais (PDG). He invited all Gabonese, regardless of previous political affiliation, to participate. Bongo sought to forge a single national movement in support of the government's development policies, using the PDG as a tool to submerge the regional and tribal rivalries that had divided Gabonese politics in the past. Bongo was elected president in February 1975. In April 1975, the position of vice president was abolished and replaced by the position of prime minister, who had no right to automatic succession. Bongo was re-elected president in both December 1979 and November 1986 to 7-year terms.
Government.
Gabon is a republic with a presidential form of government under the 1961 constitution revised in 1975, rewritten in 1991, and revised in 2003. The president is elected by universal suffrage for a 7-year term. A 2003 constitutional amendment removed presidential term limits and facilitated a presidency for life. The president can appoint and dismiss the prime minister, the cabinet, and judges of the independent Supreme Court. The president also has other strong powers, such as authority to dissolve the National Assembly, declare a state of siege, delay legislation, and conduct referenda. Interior Minister Jean-François Ndongo accused MBA Obama and his supporters of treason. The 2016 presidential election was disputed, with very close official results reported. Protests broke out in the capital and met a brutal repression which culminated in the alleged bombing of opposition party headquarters by the Presidential Guard. Between 50 and 100 citizens were killed by security forces and 1,000 arrested. International observers criticized irregularities, including unnaturally high turnout reported for some districts. The country's Supreme Court threw out some suspect precincts, but a full recount was not possible because ballots had been destroyed. The election was declared in favor of the incumbent Ondimba. European Parliament issued 2 resolutions denouncing the unclear results of the election and calling for an independent investigation on the human rights violations.
Foreign relations.
Since independence, Gabon has followed a non-aligned policy, advocating dialogue in international affairs and recognizing each side of divided countries. In inter-African affairs, Gabon espouses development by evolution rather than revolution and favors regulated private enterprise as the system most likely to promote rapid economic growth. Gabon played an important leadership role in the stability of Central Africa through involvement in mediation efforts in Chad, the Central African Republic, Angola, the Republic of the Congo, the Democratic Republic of the Congo D.R.C., and Burundi. In December 1999, through the mediation efforts of President Bongo, a peace accord was signed in the Republic of the Congo-Brazzaville between the government and most leaders of an armed rebellion. President Bongo was also involved in the continuing D.R.C. peace process, and played a role in mediating the crisis in Ivory Coast. Gabonese armed forces were also an integral part of the Central African Economic and Monetary Community (CEMAC) mission to the Central African Republic. Gabon is a member of the United Nations UN and some of its specialized and related agencies, as well as of the World Bank, the IMF, the African Union the Central African Customs Union, Central African Economic and Monetary Community UDIC/CEMAC, EU/ACP Association under the Lomé Convention, the Communauté Financière Africaine CFA, the Organization of the Islamic Conference OIC, the Non-Aligned Movement, and the Economic Community of Central African States SEC, among others. In 1995, Gabon withdrew from the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC, rejoining in 2016. Gabon was elected to a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council for January 2010 through December 2011 and held the rotating presidency in March 2010. There are 3 distinct regions: the coastal plains ranging from the ocean's shore, the mountains, the Crystal Mountains to the northeast of Libreville, the Chaillu Massif in the center, and the savanna in the east. The coastal plains form a large section of the World Wildlife Fund's Atlantic Equatorial Coastal Forests ecoregion and contain patches of Central African mangroves, especially on the Muni River estuary on the border with Equatorial Guinea. Geologically, Gabon is primarily ancient Archean and Paleoproterozoic igneous and metamorphic basement rock, belonging to the stable continental crust of the Congo Craton, a remnant section of extremely old continental crust. Some formations are more than 2 billion years old. Ancient rock units are overlain by marine carbonate, lacustrine and continental sedimentary rocks, as well as unconsolidated sediments and soils that formed in the last 2.5 million years of the Quaternary. The rifting apart of the supercontinent Pangaea created rift basins that filled with sediments and formed the hydrocarbons which are now a keystone of the Gabonese economy. Gabon is notable for the Eclo reactor zones. the only known natural nuclear fission reactor on Earth, which was active 2 billion years ago. The site was discovered during uranium mining in the 1970s to supply the French nuclear power industry. Gabon's largest river is the Ogooué, which is long. Gabon has 3 karst areas where there are hundreds of caves located in the dolomite and limestone rocks. Some of the caves include Grotte du Lastersville, Grotte du Lebamba, Grotte du Bongolo, and Grotte du Kessipo-Ougou. Many caves have not been explored yet. A National Geographic expedition visited the caves in the summer of 2008 to document them. Gabon is also noted for efforts to preserve the natural environment. In 2002, President Omar Bongo Ondimba designated roughly 10% of the nation's territory to be part of its national park system, with 13 parks in total, one of the largest proportions of nature parkland in the world. The National Agency for National Parks manages Gabon's national park system. Natural resources include petroleum, magnesium, iron, gold, uranium, and forests.
Economy.
Gabon's economy is dominated by oil. Oil revenues constitute roughly 46% of the government's budget, 43% of the gross domestic product (GDP), and 81% of exports. Oil production is currently declining rapidly from its high point of 370,000 barrels per day in 1997. Some estimates suggest that Gabonese oil will be expended by 2025. In spite of the decreasing oil revenues, planning is only now beginning for an after-oil scenario. The Grondin oil field was discovered in water depths offshore in 1971 and produces from the Batanga sandstones of Maastrichtian age, forming an anticline salt structural trap which is about deep. Gabonese public expenditures from the years of significant oil revenues were not spent efficiently. Overspending on the Trans-Gabon Railway, the CFA franc devaluation of 1994, and periods of low oil prices caused serious debt problems that still plague the country. The richest 20% of the population earn over 90% of the income, while about a third of the Gabonese population lives in poverty. Gabon has one of the lowest population densities of any country in Africa. The 2013 census found that only 63.7% of Gabon's population could speak a Gabonese language, broken down by 86.3% in rural areas and 60.5% in urban areas speaking at least one national language. In October 2012, just before the 14th summit of the Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie, the country declared an intention to add English as a second official language, reportedly in response to an investigation by France into corruption in the African country, though a government spokesman insisted it was for practical reasons only. It was later clarified that the country intended to introduce English as a first foreign language in schools, while keeping French as the general medium of instruction and the sole official language.
Religion.
Major religions practiced in Gabon include Christianity, Roman Catholicism and Protestantism, Bwiti, Islam, an indigenous animistic religion. Many persons practice elements of both Christianity and traditional indigenous religious beliefs.
Health.
Most of the health services of Gabon are public, but there are some private institutions, of which the best known is the hospital established in 1913 in Lambaréné by Albert Schweitzer. Gabon's medical infrastructure is considered one of the best in West Africa. By 1985 there were 28 hospitals, 87 medical centers, and 312 infirmaries and dispensaries. There were an estimated 29 physicians per 100,000 people. Approximately 90% of the population had access to healthcare services. In 2000, 70% of the population had access to safe drinking water and 21% had adequate sanitation. A comprehensive government health program treats such diseases as leprosy, sleeping sickness, malaria, filariasis, intestinal worms, and tuberculosis. Rates for immunization of children under the age of 1 were 97% for tuberculosis and 65% for polio. Immunization rates for DPT and measles were 37% and 56% respectively. Gabon has a domestic supply of pharmaceuticals from a factory in Libreville. The total fertility rate has decreased from 5.8 in 1960 to 4.2 children per mother during childbearing years in 2000. 10% of all births were low birth weight. The maternal mortality rate was 520 per 100,000 live births as of 1998. In 2005, the infant mortality rate was 55.35 per 1,000 live births and life expectancy was 55.02 years. As of 2002, the overall mortality rate was estimated at 17.6 per 1,000 inhabitants. The HIV/AIDS prevalence is estimated to be 5.2% of the adult population ages 15 to 49. Approximately 46,000 people were living with HIV/AIDS. There were an estimated 2,400 deaths from AIDS in 2009. Down from 3,000 deaths in 2003.
Education.
Gabon's education system is regulated by two ministries, the Ministry of Education, in charge of pre-kindergarten through the last high school grade, and the Ministry of Higher Education and Innovative Technologies, in charge of universities, higher education, and professional schools. Education is compulsory for children ages 6 to 16 under the Education Act. Most children in Gabon start their school lives by attending nurseries or crèche, then kindergarten known as Jardins d'enfants. At age 6, they are enrolled in primary school, école primaire, which is made up of 6 grades. The next level is école secondaire, which is made up of 7 grades. The planned graduation age is 19 years old. Those who graduate can apply for admission at institutions of higher learning, including engineering schools or business schools. In Gabon as of 2012, the literacy rate of its population ages 15 and above was 82%. The government has used oil revenue for school construction, paying teachers' salaries, and promoting education, including in rural areas. However, maintenance of school structures, as well as teachers' salaries, has been declining. In 2002 the gross primary enrollment rate was 132%, and in 2000 the net primary enrollment rate was 78%. Gross and net enrollment ratios are based on the number of students formally registered in primary school and therefore do not necessarily reflect actual school attendance. As of 2001, 69% of children who started primary school were likely to reach grade 5. Problems in the education system include poor management and planning, lack of oversight, poorly qualified teachers, and overcrowded classrooms.
Culture.
A country with a primarily oral tradition up until the spread of literacy in the 21st century, Gabon is rich in folklore and mythology. Raconteurs are currently working to keep traditions alive such as the Mvat among the Fangs and the Ingwala among the Nzibis. Gabon also features internationally celebrated masks, such as the Ngoltang Fang and the reliquary figures of the Kota. Each group has its own set of masks used for various reasons. They are mostly used in traditional ceremonies such as marriage, birth and funerals. Traditionalists mainly work with rare local woods and other precious materials.
Music.
Gabonese music is lesser known in comparison with regional giants like the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Cameroon. The country boasts an array of folk styles, as well as pop stars like Patience Tabani and Annie Floribachel Elise, a Gabonese singer and renowned live performer. Also known are guitarists like Georges Oyens, La Rose Mbard and Silva Navarra, and the singer Oliver Ngoma. Imported rock and hip-hop from the US and UK are popular in Gabon, as are rumba, makossa and soukous. Gabonese folk instruments include the obala, the balafon and traditional drums.
Media.
Radio diffusion television. Gabonese RTG, which is owned and operated by the government, broadcasts in French and indigenous languages. Color television broadcasts have been introduced in major cities. In 1981, a commercial radio station, Africa No. 1, began operations. The most powerful radio station on the continent, It has participation from the French and Gabonese governments and private European media. In 2004, the government operated 2 radio stations and another 7 were privately owned. There were also 2 government television stations and 4 privately owned. In 2003, there were an estimated 488 radios and 308 television sets for every 1,000 people. About 11.5 of every 1,000 people were cable subscribers. Also in 2003, there were 22.4 personal computers for every 1,000 people and 26 of every 1,000 people had access to the Internet. The National Press Service is the Gabonese press agency, which publishes a daily paper, Gabon Matin circulation 18,000 as of 2002. Union in Libreville, the government-controlled daily newspaper, had an average daily circulation of 40,000 in 2002. The weekly Gabon d'Aujourd'hui Huey is published by the Ministry of Communications. There are about 9 privately owned periodicals which are either independent or affiliated with political parties. These publish in small numbers and are often delayed by financial constraints. The Constitution of Gabon provides for free speech and a free press, and the government supports these rights. Several periodicals actively criticize the government and foreign publications are widely available.
Cuisine.
Gabonese cuisine is influenced by French cuisine, but staple foods are also available.
Sports.
The Gabon national football team has represented the nation since 1962. The under-23 football team won the 2011 CAF U23 Championship and qualified for the 2012 London Olympics. Gabon were joint hosts, along with Equatorial Guinea, of the 2012 Africa Cup of Nations, and the sole hosts of the competition's 2017 tournament. Arsenal striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang plays for Gabon national team. The Gabon national basketball team, nicknamed Les Panthers, finished 8th at the Afro-Basket 2015, its best performance ever. Gabon has competed at most Summer Olympics since 1972. The country's sole Olympic medalist is Antonio Obm, who won a silver medal in taekwondo at the 2012 Olympics, held in London. Gabon has excellent recreational fishing and is considered one of the best places in the world to catch. Following independence from France in 1960, El Hadj Omar Bongo Ondimba, one of the longest ruling heads of state in the world, dominated the country's political scene for 4 decades, 1967 to 2009. President Bongo introduced a nominal multi-party system and a new constitution in the early 1990s. However, allegations of electoral fraud during local elections in December 2002 and the presidential election in 2005 exposed the weaknesses of formal political structures in Gabon. Following President Bongo's death in 2009, a new election brought his son, Ali Bongo Ondimba, to power. Despite constrained political conditions, Gabon's small population, abundant natural resources, and considerable foreign support have helped make it one of the more stable African countries.
President Ali Bongo Ondimba's controversial August 2016 re-election sparked unprecedented opposition protests that resulted in the burning of the parliament building. The election was contested by the opposition after fraudulent results were flagged by international election observers. Gabon's constitutional court reviewed the election results but ruled in favor of President Bongo, upholding his win and extending his mandate to 2023.
Geography.
Gabon.
Location.
Central Africa, bordering the Atlantic Ocean at the equator, between Republic of the Congo and Equatorial Guinea.
Geographic coordinates.
100 S, 1145 E.
Map references.
Africa.
Area.
Total
267,667 square kilometers.
Land
257,667 square kilometers.
Water
10,000 square kilometers.
Country comparison to the world
78.
Area comparative
Slightly smaller than Colorado.
Land boundaries
Total
3,261 kilometers.
Border countries 3.
Cameroon 349 kilometers, Republic of the Congo 2,567 kilometers, Equatorial Guinea 345 kilometers,
Coastline.
885 kilometers,
Maritime claims.
Territorial Sea,
12 nanometers.
Exclusive Economic Zone,
200 nanometers.
Contiguous Zone,
24 nanometers.
Climate,
Tropical. Always hot, humid.
Terrain,
Narrow coastal plain, hilly interior. Savanna in east and south.
Elevation,
Mean elevation.
377 m,
Lowest point.
Atlantic Ocean 0 m,
Highest point.
Monti Boundary 1,575 m,
Natural resources.
Petroleum, natural gas, diamond, niobium, manganese, uranium, gold, timber, iron ore, hydropower,
Land use.
agricultural land,
19%.
arable land,
1.2%. Permanent crops.
0.6%, /permanent pasture,
17.2%.
forest,
81%.
other,
0%.
irrigated land,
40 square kilometers.
population distribution,
The relatively small population is spread in pockets throughout the country. The largest urban center is the capital of Libreville, located along the Atlantic coast in the northwest.
natural hazards,
None.
environment, current issues,
Deforestation. The forests that cover 3/4 of the country are threatened by excessive logging, burgeoning population exacerbating disposal of solid waste, oil industry contributing to water pollution, wildlife poaching.
environment, international agreements,
Party 2.
biodiversity, climate change Kyoto Protocol, desertification, endangered species, hazardous wastes, law of the sea, marine dumping, ozone layer protection, ship pollution, tropical timber 83, tropical timber 94, wetlands, whaling.
Signed, but not ratified.
None of the selected agreements.
Geography. Note.
A small population and oil and mineral reserves have helped Gabon become one of Africa's wealthier countries. In general, these circumstances have allowed the country to maintain and conserve its pristine rainforest and rich biodiversity.
People and society.
Gabon.
Population.
2,230,908.
Note.
Estimates for this country explicitly take into account the effects of excess mortality due to AIDS. This can result in lower life expectancy, higher infant mortality, higher death rates, lower population growth rates, and changes in the distribution of population by age and sex than would otherwise be expected.
Country comparison to the world.
145.
Nationality.
Noun.
Gabonese. Singular and plural.
Adjective.
Gabonese.
Ethnic groups.
Gabonese born 80.1%, includes Fang 23.2%, Shia Punu/Vili 18.9%, Nzabidumu 11.3%, Mtik 6.9%, Mayin 5%, Kotakel 4.9%, Okandtsogo 2.1%, Pygmy 3%, other 7.5%, Cameroonian 4.6%, Malian 2.4%, Beninese 2.1%, acquired Gabonese nationality 1.6%, Togolese 1.6%, Senegalese 1.1%, Congolese, Brazzaville 1%, other 5.5%, includes Congolese, Kinshasa, Equatorial Guinean, Nigerian.
Languages.
French, official, Fang, Mayin, Nzibi, Bepaunu, Eschira, Bandjabi.
Religions.
Roman Catholic 42.3%, Protestant 12.3%, other Christian 27.4%, Muslim 9.8%, Animist 0.6%, other 0.5%, no answer 7.1%.
Demographic profile.
Gabon's oil revenues have given it one of the highest per capita income levels in sub-Saharan Africa, but the wealth is not evenly distributed and poverty is widespread. Unemployment is especially prevalent among the large youth population. More than 60% of the population is under the age of 25. With a fertility rate still averaging more than 4 children per woman, The youth population will continue to grow and further strain the mismatch between Gabon's supply of jobs and the skills of its labor force.
Gabon has been a magnet to migrants from neighboring countries since the 1960s because of the discovery of oil, as well as the country's political stability in timber, mineral, and natural gas resources. Nonetheless, income inequality and high unemployment have created slums in Libreville full of migrant workers from Senegal, Nigeria, Cameroon, Benin, Togo, and elsewhere in West Africa. In 2011, Gabon declared an end to refugee status for 9,500 remaining Congolese nationals to whom it had granted asylum during the Republic of the Congo Civil War between 1997 and 2003. About 5,400 of these refugees received permits to reside in Gabon.
Age structure:
0 to 14 years.
36.45%, male 413,883, female 399,374.
15 to 24 years.
21.9%, male 254,749, female 233,770.
25 to 54 years.
32.48%, male 386,903, female 337,776.
55 to 64 years.
5.19%, male 58,861, female 56,843.
65 years and over.
3.98%, male 44,368, female 44,381.
Population pyramid.
Population pyramid.
Dependency ratios. Dependency ratios are a measure of the age structure of a population. They relate the number of individuals that are likely to be economically dependent on the support of others. Dependency ratios contrast the ratio of youths, ages 0 to 14, and the elderly, ages 65 plus, to the number of those in the working age group, ages 15 to 64. Changes in the dependency ratio provide an indication of potential social support requirements resulting from changes in population age structures, as fertility leave. More dependency ratios. Field listing.
Total dependency ratio:
68.9.
Youth dependency ratio:
62.9.
Elderly dependency ratio:
6.
Potential support ratio:
16.8.
Median age:
Total:
21 years.
Male:
21.4 years.
Female:
20.6 years.
Country comparison to the world.
187.
Population growth rate: the average annual percent change in the population, resulting from a surplus, or deficit, of births over deaths and the balance of migrants entering and leaving a country. The rate may be positive or negative. The growth rate is a factor in determining how great a burden would be imposed on a country by the changing needs of its people for infrastructure, e.g., schools, hospitals, housing, roads, resources, e.g., food, water, electricity, and jobs. Rapid population growth can be seen as more population growth rate. Field listing:
2.5%.
Country comparison to the world.
25.
Birth rate:
26.3 births out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
45.
Death rate:
5.9 deaths out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
172.
Net migration rate:
3.9 migrants out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
30.
Population distribution:
The relatively small population is spread in pockets throughout the country. The largest urban center is the capital of Libreville, located along the Atlantic coast in the northwest.
Urbanization:
Urban population:
90.1% of total population, 2020.
Rate of urbanization:
2.61% annual rate of change.
Major urban areas: population:
834,000 Libreville, capital, 2020.
Sex ratio:
At birth,
1.03 male every 1 female.
0 to 14 years,
1.04 male every 1 female.
15 to 24 years.
1.09 male every 1 female.
25 to 54 years.
1.15 male every 1 female.
55 to 64 years.
1.04 male every 1 female.
65 years and over.
1 male every 1 female.
Total population.
108.1 male every 1 female.
Mother's mean age at first birth.
20.3 years.
Note.
Median age at first birth among women 25-29.
Maternal mortality rate: the maternal mortality rate, MMR, is the annual number of female deaths per 100,000 live births from any cause related to or aggravated by pregnancy or its management, excluding accidental or incidental causes. The MMR includes deaths during pregnancy, childbirth, or within 42 days of termination of pregnancy, irrespective of the duration in sight of the pregnancy, for a specified year. Maternal mortality rate field listing:
252 deaths/100,000 live births.
Country comparison to the world:
41.
Infant mortality rate:
Total:
30.4 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
Male:
33.6 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
Female:
27 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
Country comparison to the world:
54.
Life expectancy at birth:
Total population:
69 years.
Male:
67.3 years.
Female:
70.8 years.
Country comparison to the world:
172.
Total fertility rate:
3.41 children born. Woman:
Country comparison to the world:
43.
Contraceptive prevalence rate: this field gives the percent of women of reproductive age, 15 to 49, who are married or in union and are using, or whose sexual partner is using, a method of contraception according to the date of the most recent available data. The contraceptive prevalence rate is an indicator of health services, development, and women's empowerment. It is also useful in understanding past, present, and future fertility trends, especially in developing countries. Contraceptive prevalence rate field listing:
31.1%.
Drinking water source:
Improved.
Urban:
97.2% of population.
Rural:
66.7% of population.
Total:
93.2% of population.
Unimproved:
Urban:
2.8% of population.
Rural:
33.3% of population.
Total:
6.8% of population.
Current health expenditure. Current health expenditure, CHE, describes the share of spending on health in each country relative to the size of its economy. It includes expenditures corresponding to the final consumption of healthcare goods and services and excludes investment, exports, and intermediate consumption. CHE shows the importance of the health sector in the economy and indicates the priority given to health in monetary terms. Note:
Current health expenditure replaces the former health expenditures field. More current health expenditure field listing:
3.1%.
Physicians density:
0.36 physicians out of 1,000 population.
Hospital bed density:
6.3 beds out of 1,000 population.
Sanitation facility access:
Improved.
Urban:
43.4% of population.
Rural:
31.5% of population.
Total:
41.9% of population.
Unimproved:
Urban:
56.6% of population.
Rural:
68.5% of population.
Total:
58.1% of population.
HIV/AIDS, adult prevalence rate:
3.8%.
Country comparison to the world:
14.
HIV/AIDS, people living with HIV/AIDS:
53,000.
Country comparison to the world:
59.
HIV/AIDS, deaths:
1,200.
Country comparison to the world:
57.
Major infectious diseases:
Degree of risk:
very high.
Food or waterborne diseases:
Bacterial diarrhea, hepatitis A, and typhoid fever.
Vector-borne diseases:
Malaria and dengue fever.
Water contact diseases:
Schistosomiasis.
Animal contact diseases:
Rabies.
Obesity. Adult prevalence rate:
15%.
Country comparison to the world.
127.
Children under the age of 5 years underweight.
6.4%.
Country comparison to the world.
76.
Education expenditures.
2.7% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
151.
Literacy.
Definition.
Age 15 and over can read and write.
Total population.
84.7%.
Male.
85.9%.
Female.
83.4%.
Unemployment. Youth ages 15-24.
Total.
35.7%.
Male.
30.5%.
Female.
41.9%.
Country comparison to the world.
20.
Government.
Gabon.
Country name.
Conventional long form.
Gabonese Republic.
Conventional short form.
Gabon.
Local long form.
République Gabonaise.
Local short form.
Gabon.
Etymology.
Name originates from the Portuguese word gabão, meaning cloak, which is roughly the shape that the early explorers gave to the estuary of the Como River by the capital of Libreville.
Government type.
Presidential Republic.
Capital.
Name.
Libreville.
Geographic coordinates.
023N. 927E.
Time difference.
UTC +1, 6 hours ahead of Washington, D.C., during Standard Time.
Etymology.
Original site settled by freed slaves, and the name means Freetown in French. Named in imitation of Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone.
Administrative divisions.
9 provinces: Estuaire, Haut-Ogooué, Monogooué, Ngaouni, Nyanga, Ogooué-Ivindo, Ogooué-Lolo, Ogooué-Maritime, Wolendam.
Independence: for most countries, this entry gives the date that sovereignty was achieved and from which nation, empire, or trusteeship. For the other countries, the date given may not represent independence in the strict sense, but rather some significant nationhood event such as the traditional founding date or the date of unification, federation, confederation, establishment, fundamental change in the form of government, or state succession. For a number of countries, the establishment of statehood. More independence field listing.
The 17th of August 1960, from France.
National holiday.
Independence Day, 17 August, 1960.
Constitution.
History.
Previous 1961, latest drafted May 1990, adopted the 15th of March 1991, promulgated the 26th of March 1991.
Amendments.
Proposed by the President of the Republic, by the Council of Ministers, or by 1/3 of either House of Parliament. Passage requires Constitutional Court evaluation, at least 2/3 majority vote of 2/3 of the Parliament membership convened in joint session, and approval in a referendum. Constitutional articles on Gabon's democratic form of government cannot be amended several times, last in 2011.
Legal system.
Mixed legal system of French civil law and customary law.
International Law Organization participation.
Has not submitted an ICJ jurisdiction declaration. Accepts SIC jurisdiction.
Citizenship.
Citizenship by birth.
No.
Citizenship by descent only.
At least one parent must be a citizen of Gabon.
Dual citizenship recognized.
No.
Residency requirement for naturalization.
10 years.
Suffrage.
18 years of age. Universal.
Executive branch.
Chief of State.
President Ali Bongo Ondimba, since the 16th of October 2009.
Head of Government.
Prime Minister Julien Ngogbekele, since the 15th of January 2019.
Cabinet.
Council of Ministers appointed by the Prime Minister in consultation with the President.
Elections. Appointments.
President directly elected by simple majority popular vote for a 7-year term. No term limits. Election last held on the 27th of August 2016. Next to be held in August 2023. Prime Minister appointed by the President.
Election results.
Ali Bongo Ondimba elected President. Percent of vote. Ali Bongo Ondimba, PDG, 49.8%. Jinping, of 48.2%. Other 2.0%.
Legislative branch.
Description.
Bicameral parliament or parliament consists of
Senate or Senate, 102 seats. Members indirectly elected by municipal councils and departmental assemblies by absolute majority vote in 2 rounds if needed. Members serve 6-year terms.
National Assembly or Assemblée Nationale, 143 seats. Members elected in single-seat constituencies by absolute majority vote in 2 rounds if needed. Members serve 5-year terms.
Elections.
Senate, last held on the 13th of December 2014, next to be held in January 2020.
National Assembly, held in 2 rounds on 6th and the 27th of October 2018, next to be held in 2023.
Election results.
Senate, percent of vote by party, NA, seats by party, J81, Q7, S2, Adair Up 1, C1, Independent 7. Composition, men 84, women 18, percent of women 17.6%.
National Assembly, percent of vote by party, NA, seats by party, PDG 98, the Democrats or LD 11, RV 8, Social Democrats of Gabon 5, RH&M 4, other 9, Independent 8. Composition, men 123, women 20, percent of women 14%, note, total parliament percent of women 15.5%.
Judicial branch.
Highest courts.
Supreme Court, consists of 4 permanent specialized Supreme Courts. Supreme Court or County Cassation, Administrative Supreme Court or Consolidata, Accounting Supreme Court or Cow des Comptes, Constitutional Court or Cow Constitutionnel, and the Non-Permanent Court of State Security, initiated only for cases of high treason by the President and criminal activity by executive branch officials.
Judge selection and term of office.
Appointment and tenure of Supreme, Administrative, Accounting, and State Security Courts NA, Constitutional Court judges appointed -3 by the National President, 3 by the President of the Senate, and 3 by the President of the National Assembly. Judges serve single renewable 7-year terms.
Subordinate courts.
Courts of Appeal, County Courts, Military Courts.
Political parties and leaders.
Circle of Liberal Reformers or CLR, General Jean Boniface ACL.
Democratic and Republican Alliance or ADIA, Did Job Divungidine Dinge.
Gabonese Democratic Party or PDG, Ali Bongo Ondimba.
Independent Centre Party of Gabon or PGCI, Luxury Gala.
Legacy and Modernity Party or RH&M.
Rally for Gabon or RPG.
Restoration of Republican Values or RV.
Social Democratic Party or PSD, Pierre Clave Magangamousov.
Social Democrats of Gabon.
The Democrats or LD.
Union for the New Republic or UPRN, Louis Gaston Mailer.
Union of Gabonese People or UPG, Richard Melomba.
Union of Forces for Change or UFC, Jinping.
International Organization Participation.
ACP, AFP, O, DIC, CEMAC, FAO, FS, G24, G77, EA, IBD, ICAO, ICT, ICM, IDA, IDB, IFAD, IFX, ELO, IMF, EMO, IMSO, Interpol, IOC, IOM, IPU, ISO, ITSO, ITU, ITUC, NGOs, MEGA, NAM, OAK, OIF, OPC, UN, UNCTAD, UNESCO, UNIDO, UNUTO, UPU, UCO, WHO, WIPO, WMO, WITO.
Diplomatic representation in the U.S.
Ambassador Michael Musa Adamo, since September 9, 2011.
Chancery.
2034 20th Street NW, Suite 200, Washington, D.C. 20009.
Telephone.
1-202-797-1000.
Fax.
1-301-332-0668.
Diplomatic representation from the U.S.
Chief of Mission.
Ambassador, vacant, Charge d'Affaires Robert E. Whitehead, since March 2019, note, also accredited to Sao Tome and Principe.
Telephone.
241 0145 7100.
Embassy.
Sablier, BP 4000, Libreville.
Mailing address.
Centerville, BP 4000, Libreville, Pouch.
2270 Libreville Place, Washington, D.C. 20521-2270.
Fax.
241 01745507.
Flag description.
3 equal horizontal bands of green, top, yellow, and blue, Green represents the country's forests and natural resources. Gold represents the equator, which transects Gabon, as well as the sun. Blue represents the sea.
National symbols. A national symbol is a formal, floral, or other abstract representation, or some distinctive object, that over time has come to be closely identified with a country or entity. Not all countries have national symbols. A few countries have more than one. National symbols field listing.
Black Panther. National colors.
Green, yellow, blue.
National anthem: a generally patriotic musical composition, usually in the form of a song or hymn of praise, that evokes and eulogizes the history, traditions, or struggles of a nation or its people. National anthems can be officially recognized as a national song by a country's constitution or by an enacted law, or simply by tradition. Although most anthems contain lyrics, some do not. National anthem field listing.
Name.
La Concorde. The Concorde.
Lyrics, music.
Georges Alekadamos.
Note.
Adopted 1960.
Economy.
Gabon.
Economy. Overview.
Gabon enjoys a per capita income 4 times that of most sub-Saharan African nations, but because of high income inequality, a large proportion of the population remains poor. Gabon relied on timber and manganese exports until oil was discovered offshore in the early 1970s. From 2010 to 2016, oil accounted for approximately 80% of Gabon's exports, 45% of its GDP, and 60% of its state budget revenues.
Gabon faces fluctuating international prices for its oil, timber, and manganese exports. A rebound of oil prices from 2001 to 2013 helped growth, but declining production, as some fields passed their peak production, has hampered Gabon from fully realizing potential gains. GDP grew nearly 6% per year over the 2010-14 period, but slowed significantly from 2014 to just 1% in 2017 as oil prices declined. Low oil prices also weakened government revenue and negatively affected the trade and current account balances. In the wake of lower revenue, Gabon signed a 3-year agreement with the IMF in June 2017.
Despite an abundance of natural wealth, poor fiscal management and over-reliance on oil has stifled the economy. Power cuts and water shortages are frequent. Gabon is reliant on imports and the government heavily subsidizes commodities, including food, but will be hard-pressed to tamp down public frustration with unemployment and corruption.
GDP, purchasing power parity.
$36.66 billion.
$36.5 billion.
$35.75 billion.
Note.
Data in 2017 dollars.
Country comparison to the world.